Welcome to Walk Away Wealthy. I'm your host, Alan Terrell Gregory. If you're thinking of selling your existing business or looking to untangle yourself from your old business so you can start a new one, you've come to the right place. Today, I have a very special guest, Charlie James. Welcome to the show, Charlie.
Glad to be here, Alan. Thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
It's kind of interesting. In the context of your podcast title, Walk Away Wealthy, I help imaginative-driven business owners visualize and achieve better outcomes. And wealth is an interesting thing because sometimes people think of it as money, but other times it's just living the life that they want or impacting their community. So I run my business to help owners do all three things.
Nice. So how and why did you get started helping business owners with retirement?
I had a 30-year career in Silicon Valley growing tech businesses. Matter of fact, I grew 3 businesses from 0 to 100 million, and another 7 from the ground up to about 7. And I got fired 7 times doing it. So I got into coaching when my wife and I just got tired of working for other people, and this was my skill set. This is what I've been doing for 30 years. And I really don't need to work anymore. So this is my way at 61 for giving back, having fun, dealing with brilliant people who are ambitious. It's just a really fun way to make a living.
So tell us some of those things about your tech tales, so to speak. So a lot of people are trying to build their business. They've thought about exiting. They don't know what that looks like. Tell us a little bit about your adventures.
Well, first off, whether it's tech or anything else, the numbers are terrible. In terms of how many businesses survive past a year. I think 20% die in their first year and 50% are dead in their first 50 years. I'm sorry, 5 years. And then it's worse than that. So if you want to transition your business, only 20% of businesses put up for sale sell. And according to the Exit Planning Institute, about 75% of owners that sell their business don't like the way they sold it. And that's primarily because they don't plan. A lot of times what happens is death, divorce, disability, disagreement, or disaster comes up. And all of a sudden a business that could have been worth something being sold under duress just dies. So, that's a really big thing that you and I are here to talk about is how professionals like you and I, and it takes a team or takes a village, can work with the business owners to visualize the outcomes they want and help them to actually get there.
So what are some of those outcomes that people typically want?
The most common thing I hear is that I want more time for my life. Especially if you think about our baby boomers who are, well into retirement and it's really escalating. The things I hear in every meeting is that they want the wherewithal to live a good life in terms of their current lifestyle. They're planning on living into their 90s. They want to travel. They want to prepare for the livelihood of their children and their grandchildren, and they even want to impact communities. So they have pretty big missions that they hope to fulfill. And the thing to throw out there that you already know is that most of these people, 80% of their net worth is in the value of the business. So it's so important to figure out a way to make it more valuable and more transferable, and then to achieve those outcomes of reducing your work week from 70 hours to 20, to traveling 3 months a year, which is, by the way, a good trial. If you can travel and not be in your business 3 months a year, that itself, according to the Value Builder methodology, makes your business about 70% more valuable than its peer groups. And finally, everybody wants more profit. Profit's good, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So one of the things that I mentioned to owners, I'm glad you mentioned that we're both CEBAs, of course. So one of the things that I mentioned to owners is don't start with 3 months because it's going to be way too much, right? So start with, can you take 1 week away from your business, not answer your phone, not answer text messages, emails, DMs, anything like that. If you can do that and your business is still standing, you're okay. At least you're in the process of being better than you were.
It's a really good resource. It's one of my favorite coaches is Michael Hyatt. Michael Hyatt used to be the publisher of Thomas Nelson Publishers, and they created Michael Hyatt Company. Now I think the company's called Free to Focus. They make time management binders and stuff. But Michael, over time, transitioned his business to his daughter, who happens to have 5 children from all over the world, transitioned her as the full-time CEO, reduced his work week from full-time to taking 200 days a year off. But he did exactly what you said. He did it in a way where he started practicing by taking a couple days off, a week off, and using that, he would come back and he would interview his staff about all the things that broke. And then they would put in systems to keep them from breaking. And next time he would take a little more time off. But the punchline is not only did he end up taking 200 days a year off last year, the business, I think, almost doubled in size.
Nice. So for all you business owners listening, one of the key things you can do from advisor to advisor here is reduce owner dependence. And that's exactly what we're talking about right now.
That's right.
Good. So Charlie, I wanted to know, so what are some common challenges business owners face when they're thinking about?
Well, one out of four deals fall through because the owner's thinking about retirement, but then backs out of the deal because they can't imagine their lives without working. So they start the process, but they back out. That has actually happened to me twice. My wife and I also have home care businesses, and twice we've been acquiring adjacent businesses where the owner backed out for that exact reason. So it's a real thing. So one, visualizing what you want. Two, building the teams and systems and culture to live on without you. And three, making sure you're financially prepared.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So we talked about, before we started this here, a little bit about value acceleration. Let's talk about that.
So for those of you that aren't familiar, Alan and I are members of the Exit Planning Institute. It's a group formed, out of Cleveland, Ohio, and they train professionals of all types, business advisors that serve business owners and wealthy families. So I myself am what you would call a business coach or a value builder, but other professions that practice the value acceleration methodology are CPAs, CFOs, estate planners, intellectual property lawyers, and on and on. All the professionals that encircle an owner over the life cycle of a business, and even as the business wealth starts moving out of the business into the legacy outcomes. And we follow the value acceleration process. It has three areas. One is planning, where you do a business valuation and a readiness assessment and also a financial wealth. How much money do you need to sell your business for to live the life you want? So that's the planning phase. And the advisors work with the owner, and we create what we call a prioritized action plan. And from that, then the team will branch off. Somebody like me will work down in the business with the owner and their team to make the business generate more profit, to free the owner out of the day-to-day, and we'll evaluate the progress of every 90 days. The rest of the team, the financial planners, the tax accountants, the estate planners, will reconvene with us every 90 days to figure out how we're doing. And a lot of times that generates actually additional work for those professionals, but it takes the uncertainty away from the business owners. And usually the outputs are like a lot less taxes paid, better savings for the owner, for their children, and even their grandchildren, and community foundations. That's the second phase. That's the grow phase. And the third phase is the decide phase. It's a value builder or the value acceleration methodology is really a growth methodology that culminates in an eventual transition. So the idea is every 90 days, the business should be packaged such that the owner can decide to sell it and start that process, or put another 90 days into growth. Did I miss anything, Alan?
No, that's everything. So can you tell us about some favorable trends for business owners right now?
Well, interesting. I don't know how to answer that. In a lot of ways, I'm feeling like there's this pent-up group of baby boomers who haven't really planned for their future, and that's not favorable. I guess the favorable idea is I've actually talked to somebody who's going through SEPA training, what Alan and I are. When I took the class in December, there were 20 people in my class, and this month's class has 90. So it feels like the whole industry is ramping up to support these owners, to get them to put together a plan and to execute better to improve the odds.
Absolutely. And one of the questions that I get, like some people ask me, and I'm going to ask you as well, how much time is needed to plan and execute a successful exit for a business owner?
Well, you've been asking all the questions. What do you think?
Well, for me, I know that it normally takes about 3 years. Some people, they say they want to do it faster, but 3 years is generally what we're looking at.
Yeah. So when I talked about those, the 5 Ds, death, divorce, disability, disagreement, and disaster, usually those come up and there's no plan in place. And when I talk to business brokers or CPAs or business coaches, that's their biggest complaint is people decide one day that they want to put their business up for sale and they want to sell it now. And what they're going to get for their business is really going to be disappointing. And a lot of times they're not going to have a business that will sell at all. So go back to the fact that if they perceive 80% of their net worth is in the business and they don't sell it, that's really, really bad. So let's not do that. And keep in mind, once you decide to put your business up for sale, once you start that process, the mechanical process itself usually takes at least 9 months to a year and a half in its fastest pace if you just dump your business. But if you want to plan and make the adjustments to your business, if you want to renovate the house before you sell it, so to speak, and do a little work, then 3 years is a great estimate. And there's nothing wrong with allowing for 5.
So what's the difference between your services and that of a business broker?
Yeah, great question. So business brokers do exactly that. They help owners buy or sell businesses much like a real estate agent does. As a matter of fact, brokers typically have a commercial real estate license. In Florida, they're mandated. They have to. But the analogy is if you're selling your house, the real estate agent will help you prepare for it and even make recommendations on how to get the business ready. Brokers will do that for you. But if you want to renovate the house, then you need to hire the contractors, or getting back to our business parlance, you'd hire a business coach. Almost always you have to upgrade your CPA to somebody who can justify your earnings, clean up your books to eliminate any semblance of risk that drives down the value of your business. And certainly you should have your estate in order. You should have a tax mitigation strategy. So those are all the other things that would happen upstream.
So you would say that it's better for people to begin working with you before securing the services of a business broker?
Or concurrently. A lot of business brokers will evaluate a business, they'll take a look at it and say, you're just not ready, or you're punching yourself in the face, not fixing it up. So a good number of referrals I get are from those people. But yeah, if you're listening to this right now, if you deal with somebody like Alan or me, in particular with my business, I have the ability to do business valuations. I license the same software that brokers do. There's no magic to it. I'll create a baseline value for your business. But what's unique about what I do that most brokers don't do is you'll get a report that will talk about major areas of your business that are impacting your profit, which is the number one thing that a buyer is looking at, is the future prospects of profit generation that they're investing in. But all the rest of it pertains to risk in buying your business, how dependent the business is on you, on your key suppliers, on your key employee, on how much recurring revenue do you have, how unique and differentiated is your branding, those types of things. So that's why you would come to somebody like me. And then if they're a CPA, they will coordinate and get the other professionals involved. I often help upgrade the rest of the professional team. And then if you want, I'll be the drum major and kind of get them marching the same way and meeting every 90 days.
So what sort of information do people need to provide to you to get a business valuation or to begin working with you?
I start with a very simple questionnaire that I license from a third-party company called Value Builder. It has 40 questions. Very easy to answer, although a lot of times when people go through it by themselves, they don't understand the meaning of the question. So you can either do it by yourself in about 13 minutes, or you do it with me, and usually the dialogue takes about an hour. So you'll answer questions that you'll know off the top of your head, but you will be asked to provide 3 trailing years of your EBITDA results, and it'll ask you some additional questions about outstanding costs that you had that a buyer wouldn't have. And that's the process that they call recasting. It's where we reevaluate the EBITDA numbers from the perspective of what a buyer of the business would actually enjoy from the business. And typically the value of your business goes up when you recast.
So in terms of what working with you looks like, they start with that questionnaire and then what happens?
The way I work with clients is I typically have before the questionnaire a 10-minute call. What are your hopes and dreams? Where are the gaps? How much profit do you have now? What do you want? How many hours are you working? What do you want it to be? What type of an exit would be your dream scenario? If we have a fun conversation and you like working with me, and we identify a gap that I agree that I can help with, that I'm the best person to help you with, I'll either schedule a follow-up call with you or introduce you to a different professional. The follow-up call then is that business review that I just described. That's typically an hour meeting, and I don't charge anything for that. And then after that, I'll give you, based on how much renovation you need to do to your house, some options for working monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, one-on-one, or maybe in a bigger group if that's what you need. And I'll give you a proposal on that. And since I'm a certified focal point coach, I offer a money-back guarantee. So that basically means you pay for your services up front each month, but for any reason you're not happy, we give the full amount back.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh? Never had it happen.
Right. So what characteristics do your best clients exhibit?
They have ambition and drive. People that hire a business coach in particular, sometimes they're reluctant to admit that they're asking for help. But think of it like Tiger Woods when he was the best golfer in the world, and he still hired a coach to help him change his swing. Those are the ideal clients. They're ambitious. They still want to achieve an outcome as it relates to their business or the transition of their business or their legacy, and they're willing to do the work. Now, one key thing is I'm not a consultant, and you're not a consultant per se. We're coaches. So we ask questions. We get you thinking about it. The quality of your outcomes depends on the quality of your thinking. And as Sherpas or guides, we just help you think a little bit more cleaner.
Absolutely. So we're coming up here to the end. So I just got 3 more questions for you. So this first one is, what's your best advice for someone looking to sell their business or transition to a new one?
Buy low, sell high. Okay, I'll give you more. I think it's really important before you do anything to do an assessment of your personal readiness to make the change. And that readiness, and again, this is a methodology of the Exit Planning Institute. Any certified SEPA will take you through a readiness assessment where you'll look at your various options of exit. Sometimes it can be an outright sale, it can be full or partial, it can be getting an investor or a partner, it can be transitioning your children. So you look at your options and then you visualize your future and really think about that before you make a move. Alan, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. So here's the second question. Here's the second to last. What's one of your favorite quotes and why?
Saying that you don't have time to plan is like saying you don't have time to buy gas. Seriously, the people who don't do business with people like you and I always say they're too busy. But when you look at their life, they're in chaos. They're not achieving their goals. They're stressed. Their health is often not where it needs to be. And it's because they're too busy. The whole purpose of planning is to visualize the outcome that you want. And most people don't do that. Most people don't clearly visualize the life that they want. And then once you do that, planning for the meaningful things that you can do. So it's not doing 100 things. It's doing 3 things really well.
So how can people get in touch with you?
So I don't know if you share my coordinates, but my name is Charlie Janes, Janes. I'll just give my phone number here, 650-867-0207. Just text me and I'll connect you with my website and anything else that you need. But love to hear from you. And by the way, I'm always happy to talk to people, even if I'm not a good fit. I'll connect you with somebody who is. Like I said, I'm 61 years old. I'm doing this because my mission is to build communities through job creation, through service and love. And the love sounds hokey, but literally giving a little support to our fellows around us is really what I'm here for at this point in my life.
Excellent. Well, Charlie, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, Alan. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
Thank you. So